Hi, everyone. Well, I again apologize for being late, but it's Daryl Calhoun's fault because of his comment that I saw Signature Bank in New York just hit. So I had to check it out. And that is coming up in just a few minutes. Hello, Schnambles. Marty Lauderdale, hello, thank you. Thank you. Sith Trish, Sherry Hughes, thank you. And Silent Walk, Cindy Reinhardt, Eli D, Echo Twin Systems, Oracle of the West, Information Hungry, Mike Luft, hello. Yeah, the banking system's coming down, guys. It's coming down. Oh, we knew it for years. It's happening. Jam Band Billy D, hello. Cecilia Amarati, hello. Blue Moon, ML. Stardust Freenet, hi. Space Indian, Julie C. Hi, everybody. Hypocrites Matrix. Hi. Well, raining, very dark day. Oh, it was yesterday as well. And chilly. North Georgia. Mark Williams, Barb in Ohio. Hi, everybody. Well, I'm going to do banking first. Some of you on the West Coast, you might want to run out to your bank. Do you still have time to hit an ATM? Because banks are having people show up at the ATMs trying to get as much cash out. Beatrix Kiddo, hello. Well, let's go. Here, this is First Republic Bank. It's a branch in Los Angeles, California. That's a pretty long line. Line to get into, I guess, the ATMs. This was yesterday, so I don't know. Were they there in the morning, Saturday morning, to get in to the bank? Well, this is not Silicon Valley Bank. This is First Republic Bank. Yeah, something's going on. People are knowing something is going on. Well, here we go. Another bank. Signature in New York, in Manhattan. Closed. Regulators close. New York Signature Bank citing systemic risk. A bid to prevent the spreading bank crisis? No. The more they close the banks, the more they will be spreading panic, and the more people will be going to their banks to get their cash out. And perhaps that's the point. Depositors at Signature Bank will have full access to their deposits. You cannot believe that. All depositors of this institution will be made whole. As with the resolution of Silicon Valley Bank, no losses will be borne by the taxpayer. So apparently, Yellen, our Treasury Secretary, was hitting the Sunday morning news shows, making the rounds, and claiming there will not be a bailout. But she didn't say there won't be a bail-in. You know how our officials lie. All right. Anybody with half just half a brain cell still working in their brain could have understood over the years that if they wanted to fix the banking system, they would have restored Glass-Steagall. That separated commercial and investment banks. They didn't. So commercial banks, when you go and you want to take all the money out of your bank and it's over $10,000, in some cases over $6,000, they say no, because the banks don't have the money. Your deposits are the banks to invest. Oh, well, Glass-Steagall prevented that. And it worked for a whole long time. Instead, they came up with a banking solution called the Dodd-Frank Bill, which allows for bail-ins. What does that mean? We're not going to hear government officials claiming that they need $600 billion like Paulson did in 2007, 2008. They're just going to take your money. So don't believe the horseshit that you hear. Oh, you'll be made whole. What does that mean? Well, let's say somebody has $1 million in Signature Bank. You'll be made whole when the FDIC insures for $250,000 and doesn't even have the money to make everybody whole should the banking system collapse. They don't. So deposits are nearly, I can't remember the figures, but let's just say $2 trillion above what the FDIC has. No one, except those who have maybe 250,000 and less. They'll be made whole if they're lucky. Signature is one of the main banks to the cryptocurrency industry. As of December 31st, Signature had $110.4 billion in total assets and $88.6 billion in total deposits. And they close it because it's risky. Okay, have you heard that when the news came out about Silicon Valley Bank, in 24 hours, $42 billion have been scooped out of that bank? $42 billion in 24 hours taken from that bank. How does that happen when we now have banks saying you can't get any more than 10,000. You can't get any more than 6,000, which I heard from a subscriber. How does 42 billion get scooped out of Silicon Valley Bank? Might the banking system be rigged for those who have, not for those who have not? The ripple effects of Silicon Valley, wait for Monday. Monday. Oh, that's in a little while. With Signature now going down, okay, things are not. And people will begin to panic. People will be showing up at their banks wanting their money. What then happens? Everybody goes into panic mode. Banks shut down. It's a bank holiday. And remember, how many times have we heard these collapses usually start on a Friday, and then by Monday, voila, there it is. And you get to experience it. So don't be surprised if you wake up tomorrow morning and you can't get access to your money because the emergency measures that Yellen will implement to make sure that there's not a run, we could be experiencing that. I hope it doesn't happen. But we've known this for a long time. just to go over some of the FDIC takeover sparks bank runs. Bank of America and Wells Fargo fears. Oh, fears with the big banks. I will say I listened to Gregory Mannarino this morning. I'm going to play some of his video. And he said this is the start of the small banks going down so the big banks can consolidate more and more power. And the regional banks, if you have a regional bank, I really would suggest that you do take your money out of it. Keep as much just to pay the bills. Never seen in over 40 years. Silicon Valley Bank collapse sparks bank runs as people wait in line. So the headlines are probably freaking people out. No doubt. Yellen says government will help the depositors of SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, but no bailout. Well, Dodd-Frank has a bail-in. And yeah, as Fed and FDIC hope talk of special vehicle that will prevent more bank runs. What will be that special vehicle? Let me be clear, during the financial crisis, there were investors and owners of systemic large banks that were bailed out, and the reforms that have been put in place means we are not going to do that again. What is she saying? This is like doublespeak, guys. The reforms, the legislation included the bail-ins. No more bailouts. That's what she's talking about. All right, let me just play some of Greg Mannarino's video because, yeah, he says it pretty clearly.
Okay, everybody, here we go. It is me, Gregory Mannarino. It is Sunday, March 12th, 2023, and this is my newest segment of Markets, a look ahead, and we have a lot to talk about. People, again, you all know that I'm a macro guy. I like to look at the big picture on a global level, and I'm telling you right here and right now, and this is no surprise to you, we are in the early stages of an accelerating systemic breakdown of the financial system, and in no way, shape, or form is this by accident. I mean, just consider what's going on a macro level. We have a global economy which is cratering at its fastest pace ever in history. Meanwhile, we got central banks collectively raising rates into an environment where the economy is falling off of a cliff. I mean, it is deliberate. Now, this issue with Silicon Valley Bank, it's getting airplay on the regular news outlets, the financial news outlets, but there is a protocol in place, and it's what you would have expected to see right here. It's the blame game. Okay, the investigation into what happened hasn't even started, but they're already assigning blame. This morning on Bloomberg, they floated out Larry Summers, another authority figure on, I guess, the financial system here. The guy's a freak. Okay, now he's out here this morning blaming the bank managers. Another freak, or the news outlet, is blaming borrowers who were apparently burning through cash. Meanwhile, they were paying back their loans here. Again, this has to play out this way, the blame game, to keep people distracted from who's actually responsible. Where were the bank regulators? Where was the U.S. Treasury? Where is the Federal Reserve in all this? They must remain blameless because, again, confidence must be restored into the system. Now, as you can already see, and this was obvious, okay, is a piece I want to read to you in just a little bit. They're already talking about a buyer or buyers for the good assets on SVB's bank balance sheet. And there's already talk about a government bailout. Government bailout would be the government or you and I, get to own all the bad assets while the mega banks get to buy all the good assets at fire sale prices here. If you think this is by any accident at all, you don't know what's going on. We're going to see a consolidation of the banking system, and this shouldn't surprise anyone. Power concentrated yet again in the few. So what I believe, we're not done here. There is going to be some kind of contagion. There's just no way that this one bank is going to go bad here. Look, let me say this too. Bank failures, these are somewhat normal, but this particular one is rattling the market because, first of all, this is the 16th largest bank in the U.S. by assets. Okay. And there's a whole other thing going on here. Oh, why is it that no big bank stepped in here to bail it out or to set things right? Well, we're going to talk about that in the paper I want to read to you. But what I want you to take away from this video, honestly, is we are, again, and this is no surprise to a single person that follows this blog, this has been going on in the very early stages of a deliberate systemic failure of the financial system. This is being pushed by central banks who want to kill the current system, issuing a new one. They have to kill the current system first, and they have to create panic. They have to create a reason why we need this new system. You understand? We need it because the old one's dying. They know that, and it's being pushed in that direction, obviously. Again, cratering economy. They're raising rates into a cratering economy. And that mechanism here is fostering everything that we're seeing here, an elimination of the middle class on a worldwide scale. Now, it's just interesting here. If you were paying attention to the debt market, which I know all of you do, we watched the 10-year yield drop over 30 basis points last week. Now, that's profound. That is profound. Again, put this into perspective. The debt market is supposed to remain stable. It's supposed to be the rock by which everything else hinges. Now, this instability here in the debt market, it shouldn't surprise anybody either. How many times have I been telling you that the debt market is unstable over the past many, many months? It's completely unstable, all right? And these gyrations are rattling the market. MMRI drop, okay, I understand that. But the MMRI is telling us as clear can be that this market remains in a high risk zone. I mean, it couldn't be easier for you to read. Again, in the description of this video is a link to the MMRI. I color-coded this for you. Actually, the guy who helped me create that on my website. I mean, I came up with the MMRI, and John Rust helped me get that graph on my website. That's way above my pay grade. I have no idea. But these are all color-coded. You can see where we are. We remain in a high-risk zone. And I think this moment of maximum saturation, which I've spoken about for freaking years, is really becoming real here. The debt in the system has become so toxic and so overwhelming that the system is breaking down right before our eyes. But what are they going to do? They're going to continue to inflate, in my view, until they're ready to pull the plug. Is that plug being pulled right now? Well, we're going to see. We're going to see really, really soon here. And again, looking back on this month, at the end of last month, I explained to everyone here, we discussed it right here, go check my videos, that this month of March is going to be generally very bad for the market. And, this month and October are kind of the months that really spook in investors. Anyway, people, with that said, I want to read this to you. I want to ad-lib. Now this,
Okay, so if you want to watch the rest of his video, I'll put the channel link in, and it's today's video. So, yeah, and I was reminded when he said bailout, I was reminded by an article that I saw that Yellen, and this came out actually just before I was to go live. I saw a government bailout of banks, but that's not what she said this morning. So who knows? Maybe they'll bail out, taking your money, and then bail in, taking more money. We do have a rather evil government that steals an awful lot from us. All right, weather. Wow, weather. Okay, California is getting really slammed. Deadly California atmospheric river causes evacuations as flooding wreaks havoc on state. Yes, farms, houses, businesses in several areas are now underwater. Underwater. It's not good. So, every day, more and more people get destroyed. And, what are they going to do if banks close and they can't access any money? California dams to let scarce water out to sea as flooding looms. And I looked at this headline and I thought to myself, they're going to use this to claim a drought in a month or 2 months. Another really bad drought. Scarce water? Well, the reservoir was pretty much filled up. But it's scarce. Is this the Oroville Dam? Because I know they were releasing water from there. California's dams often open their floodgates at the beginning of spring, even in relatively dry years, because of the amount of water that flows into the dams as the winter snow melt runs off the Sierra Nevada mountains. But it's scarce water. Considering the snow that they have received that is still there in the mountains in California, doesn't seem pretty scarce to me. But hey, that doesn't go along with the narrative.
Over 8,500 residents have been told to evacuate after a major levee has breached in California. Authorities performed dozens of water rescues after a series of severe storms caused the breach.
This was the scene in Pajaro in the early hours of Saturday, where the California National Guard was called out to rescue people from floodwaters after they found themselves trapped in their cars. The flooding a result of a levee break on the Pajaro River, this aerial taken Saturday morning after the levee breached around midnight. Ring video from 2 a.m. shows firefighters going door to door, waking up neighbors and trying to get them out.
Fire department!
Video from that same camera shows the scene just a few hours later, the street inundated with water. By mid-morning, the water was still rising, leaving residents who didn't evacuate trapped.
Some of the water that comes across the road is about 4 to 5 feet right now, and your standard vehicle cannot get across it.
Curtis Rhodes with CAL FIRE says first responders were able to get around 2/3 of the community evacuated ahead of the flood, but others didn't make it out until daylight.
Where we live, it has flooded. As you can see behind me, the river has overflowed.
Hundreds remained trapped Saturday morning with multiple rescues ongoing throughout the day. Crews driving in using high clearance vehicles and evacuees taking only what they could carry.
I took some paper for medication and some clothes, like just necessary, and like everything is there, yeah.
The main street along Porter Drive covered in feet of water, filling businesses and homes. First responders say the flood zone's about 2.5 square miles, with water depths reaching 5 feet in low-lying areas.
There's still a number of people waiting out this flooding event. You can see we're about shin deep in the water here, but up at that second-story building on the apartment floor there's a family waiting it out. I spoke to another woman who says she's about 2 feet up off the ground, and she's going to wait until the water reaches her house before she leaves.
Hannah Northrup says this is the third or fourth time they've been told to evacuate this winter in the wake of storms, but the first time the river has spilled over.
Last time we had a plan and, spent a lot of money trying to get out of here and couldn't get back home, and it never flooded over. That was about 2 months ago. So we really didn't expect it to happen. But here we are now.
This morning, A worst-case scenario, Northern California's Pajaro River levee failing. 100-foot rupture sending water downstream, flooding homes and farmland. Door-to-door evacuations and more than 60 water rescues.
We were able to evacuate 2/3 of Pajaro. The other people who stood behind to try to gather their things are now trapped behind the water line.
More than 8,500 people forced to evacuate countywide. Residents warned not to use the tap water. California blindsided by an atmospheric river. Life-threatening flash flooding in some places, residents trapped by washed-out roads in others.
Folks, we are not done yet.
4 million people in the West remain under flood alerts, with as much as 3 more inches of rain expected in some places through Sunday.
We're stranded. We're not going anywhere unless it's an emergency.
And in the High Sierra, another 8 inches to 2 feet of snow is possible. The worry there, this tropical system melting part of a historic snowpack, leading to more flash flooding and avalanches in communities already trapped under feet of snow. In Gilroy, California, heartbreak.
We have nothing else.
The Silva family's home flooded back in January. After losing nearly everything, they stayed behind and rebuilt. But as they prepared to move back in, the floodwaters rose again, this time ruining everything they had left, including their crops.
We're not quite sure what we're going to do because everything that we had is destroyed.
The cruel reality of what once felt like California's unlikeliest threat, too much water.
And this is not over as rescue crews continue to scour the state and residents pick up the pieces. Another atmospheric river is forecasted to strike as early as tomorrow.
Not good, not good. But, again, Australia hit again.
Queensland's rental crisis is deepening. The number of properties of
Wrong video. Where is it? Where is it?
Remote outback communities inundated. In Burketown, authorities have sounded the alarm, ordering evacuations in a rapidly evolving and life-threatening situation. Power is being cut, the town's sewage compromised. Phone service is patchy at best, homes and businesses are under, and the peak is still hours away.
Those rivers really merge and join together and it turns into one vast floodplain over the last few days as a result of the heavy rainfall.
But many locals are staying put, gathering supplies, moving to higher ground to stay with their pets, arguing in croc country they'd be leaving their furry family members as bait.
Half the town and most of the children and elderly that have flown out, but there is a good, probably, I'd say at least half the town still here refusing to leave because they can't take their animals, so that's obviously made the situation kind of more tense in Burketown.
For weeks, the Gulf and Northwest region has been cut off by water, now intensifying.
Just an explosion of water and people isolated, already been isolated for a couple of months and looking for another 2 months or a month.
This weather system has smashed flood height records, with major flood warnings still in place for 4 northwest catchments. Meanwhile, residents further south are starting to feel the impact of this system.
Yeppoon in the 24 hours, 9 a.m. this morning, did see around 222 millimetres in an isolated but very heavy area of rain. With that, we do see the risk of not only heavy falls, but even potentially some large hail and damaging winds across southeastern Queensland.
Sally Geit, 7 News.
I hope you're getting that they're really accelerating the use of weather weapons in particular, which means do not think that won't happen to you. Whether it's whether it is a tornado or those high winds that knock down trees and come crashing through your home, whether it's flooding, a hurricane. Are you on the coast? Oh, that's right. We've got hurricanes that develop inland. Hail, large hail coming through your roof. Wow. I actually didn't think that I would live to see this kind of destruction. But here we are. Here we are. So, I got this from a subscriber, and I've never received anything like this. Smart News? What is Smart News? And I couldn't, there's nothing to link. So what? I need to scan? I have to have a smartphone to get this article? Okay. I don't have smartphones, but I did look into it. Pennsylvania residents under shelter in place after hazardous materials incident? Wow. How uncommon is that? Not.
Lancaster hazmat and fire crews rushed to the southwestern part of the city because of a hazardous materials incident, prompting a shelter-in-place order. Sarah Wilson joins us live in the studio with the latest on that. Sarah.
Taylor, that order lasted for 7 hours. It was due to an ammonia leak. Neighbors called 911 around 7:30 this morning to report the smell. A hazmat team and fire crews got to the scene shortly after and discovered the leak coming from the Kunzler Meat Company. Crews were also able to contain the leak just before noon, but residents in this area were asked to stay inside with their doors and windows closed until about 2:30 this afternoon. Hazmat crews say there was no danger to the public. The shelter in place was put in order out of an abundance of caution.
There may be questions as to why we shelter in place as opposed to evacuate. In this situation, we were able to calculate that there was probably more danger to evacuation because the odor outside, the amount of ammonia outside would be higher and the wind takes it away. And so being inside and staying inside with windows closed makes that safer for the public.
It's unclear what caused the leak, but no injuries were reported. The hazmat crew in Lancaster says residents still may smell ammonia in the air, but it's not harmful. Taylor? Sarah?
I think they just like controlling people. Shelter in place, it's much better to shelter in place than evacuation. Close those windows and shut your doors for 7 hours. Lancaster, Pennsylvania. All right. What do we have here? Oh, it's not a bank run. It's actually a port of entry run. Breaking. Our contact in Juarez, Mexico tells us a massive group of at least 1,000 migrants, illegal migrants, just attempted to rush a port of entry into El Paso in an effort to get into the United States. Still think we're not being invaded? Something's up there. Put a little frequency into that mop. You got an explosion of people up two-leggeds. And you can create any kind of emotion you want in those people. Yeah. So, another video, we're told some crowd control measures were used. Unclear which side of the border. And a chunk of the group was repelled and is now gathering at another smaller bridge while some are trying to cross in the river. But everything's under control. Now, I want to play just a few minutes of this video. I hope I downloaded it. Did I? Where are you? Okay, Roxham Road. New York officials are doing that human trafficking right smack into Canada.
Well, they ask us, hey, we need a cab.
Sorry. You can go to Rebel News and I'll actually get the link right after I play some of this, but I'm bringing it to like 11 minutes. Let's see.
Roxham Road, as you know, is not even in the city.
I know.
So he's not available and he doesn't want to talk.
I just wanted to ask if he was aware that the business of the taxi based in Plattsburgh was involved
He's
with
not
driving.
interested in talking. I'm not. I can't talk about it, and I'm not. Yeah. So he's not interested.
But it's an important issue since your city is contributing to the illegal crossing
No,
border.
we don't do. No, the city taxis are not. The city does not own the city taxis. There's nothing to do with the city.
Yeah, but
they're all private. So that's all.
You don't.
No.
You don't ask.
No.
Like business
No,
to stop to do illegal like activity.
That is not. I'm not going to answer that question. I'm not going to answer any more questions. So there's nothing. I'm not answering any questions. So he does not want to speak to you.
Of course they do. They pull licenses if the business is engaged in any kind of illegal business. So, yeah.
So that's all I can say. Okay.
And is it probably a way to talk to him, like either by email or by phone?
No, he does not want to speak with you.
Why me?
Oh, he just doesn't want to speak about it. He doesn't want to speak at all. So I'm not going to answer any more questions. You're welcome to email.
Since the mayor of New York is sending the migrant here, so the city is involved in that.
I'm not commenting on it at all. If you'd like me to leave me your card or your phone number.
I have just a couple of questions regarding if the police is aware of the business of the taxi drivers that driving migrants to cross illegally in Canada.
Taxi drivers are driving immigrants illegally into Canada?
Like they drive them to the border where they can cross illegally at Roxham Road. They do. I just want to know if the police is aware that like City Taxi or other like company like that or private vans are driving migrants that arrive by bus or flight to Roxham Road where they cross illegally.
Okay. Hold on a second, okay?
Yeah.
That says it's not to the state police of Plattsburgh because they actually patrol up that road. We don't go that far in our jurisdiction, so we don't know.
Yeah, but the taxi is on your jurisdiction, no?
Not the bus stop in our jurisdiction either.
The bus stop in Plattsburgh, though?
No, the one out by Cumberland Head.
It's like a mobile, like...
Yeah, it's not our jurisdiction. It's the state police of Plattsburgh again.
Is it legal to drive migrant where you know that they would cross illegally to another country?
That's not, I mean...
You're the police.
Correct, but I'm saying the taxi, just if someone pays money to get from here to here, that's where they stop, the taxi.
Yeah, but in the same time, they are promoting Roxham Road. When the bus arrive, they ask them if they want to go to the border of Roxham Road, and they drive them up there, where they know, and the taxi know that they would cross illegally. Is that legal?
I mean, I'm not sure, unfortunately. But like I said, though, that's...
Do you have a law in U.S. that say that if you help people to cross illegally to another country, it's actually a crime?
Again, I don't have an answer for you. That'd be something Border Patrol would probably know the answer to.
We all know illegally crossing into a country and a country helping aiding and abetting those illegal migrants crossing into another country is a crime. The police, however, in Plattsburgh, don't know it's a crime. Well, it's not just government. It's literally every institution has been taken over. Legal, pharmaceutical, corporations, education, everything has been taken over and working for the agenda. So, yeah, we let it get this big, and we should be doing things like this.
Well, that's what I like to see in the morning. You, Les Camera, get up there, boy!
We have another East Germany situation on our hands, folks, and these commies are out of control. These communist bastards are trying to roll out 15-minute cities, aka movement rationing, traveling restrictions, total surveillance. The good news is heroes are stepping up and doing the absolute right thing. And that is they're tearing down these cameras. They're painting the lenses. They're cutting the wires. They're smashing them. These people are heroes fighting for the next generations. I 100% support people smashing these cameras. This is what needs to be done. I 100% support people busting down these bollards, the modern-day Berlin walls that are being erected in front of our eyes. To hell with these communists. Humanity's freedom is at stake.
Yeah, so I'll link to Tim Truth's video on this.
We are live. Welcome, everybody. Hope you're having a good day so far. We have a really special guest with us again today. I'm really excited to get the rundown of what's going on the scene. We have a local resident, Dave.
Okay, so Jason, if you're watching, I know you want to be doing something similar. There are people who are taking action in other countries. I'm fully convinced the right-wing echo chamber is as brainwashed as the left-wing one. They don't even know what hit them in 2020, and they lash out hysterically like demons when you point out how Republicans also imploded the economy and Trump sold these harder than this guy. Yeah. And guess what? Did you hear from Republicans? Oh, maybe one or two, talking about the importance of restoring Glass-Steagall? No. No. Okay, so I think I should just ignore people at this point and treat them like an extremist religion that is too far gone to even communicate with. I kind of already treat most left-wing stuff like that, but this spell Trump put people under is as deep. I think I'll just start ignoring it. Yeah. The campaign. The American presidential campaign. It has begun. Distraction, distraction, distraction. We get to see this every day for, wow, about a year and a half. And then we fight after the election. Priorities, priorities, priorities. New York City. Wow, people are wigged out, man. New York, this is the result of liberals running your city.
Get him, bro. Get that nigga. Get that nigga. Don't let him get away. Get that nigga. Don't let him get away. Don't let that nigga get away. Don't let that nigga get away. Oh. 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 He a gangster. Yo, send that to me, bro. Both of us dead. They're not dead. That's it. No. I'm trying to. No. I'm taking the car. Okay, hold on, bro. Come on. Let's go. Gangsta. Get off, bro. Watch out, bro. Watch out. He gotta go. Let him go. He's a strong man. Get out of there, bro. Get out of there. They don't got you. They don't got you. They don't got you. Hurry up. He got out of there. He got out of there. He's going home. He's going home, and that man is hurt. Oh. 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 Shit. We got him. Oh. Oh! Hold up! Outside of New York City! Dickhead! You passed him! You passed him, dickhead!
Well, yeah. I'd say we're going down. We're going down. The guy's a gangster. He's a gangster. Yeah. What idiots, man. What violent idiots we have. God. Anybody else not feeling so good about being in this country anymore? Minneapolis mayor threatened by far left activists. Minneapolis mayor is, he's an extreme progressive. What happened? I don't even know what happened, but he's been threatened. Okay, the left-wing activists were angry over the city's planned demolition of a vacant building, citing racial justice and environmental concerns. During the council meeting, they yelled profanities and reached over the dais where the members were seated. They also reportedly banged on walls and doors outside the office of Mayor Jacob Frey. Local governments face no shortage of tough issues to debate. The demolition of a vacant building. Okay, well, that's worthy of threatening his life. But isn't it interesting how the left think they're so protected? No. You do anything that they don't like, boom, they go after you. Local governments face no shortage of tough issues to debate, ensuring the safety of elected officials and sanctity of the democratic process shouldn't be one. His wife is very upset that they are receiving threats. The front door of Frey and his wife is Sarah Clark. Frey and Clark's apartment building was vandalized with a painted message, "Kill the mayor." Just 2 days after the graffiti was removed, "Kill the mayor" showed up again on the entrance. Yeah, we've got a problem. A whole lot of Americans are very violent. They're just violent, man. And there is no ifs, ands, or buts. No ifs, ands, or buts. All right, few more. All right, here. These are things that I picked up right before going live.
Ahead is the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, Kentucky Republican Congressman James Comer. Mr. Chairman, thanks very much for being here this morning.
Thank you for having me.
First, I want to get your take on the news of the day, and that is this Silicon Valley Bank loss and this failure. You were on a bank board. You're the chairman of the Oversight Committee. What should be done here?
Well, look, this is something that I worry could be a trend. Usually when one bank goes down, more banks go down. And what we've seen early on from articles I've read in the Wall Street Journal and other financial publications is they invested a lot of cash that I would assume they had from things like the PPP loan, government policy, and they invested it in bonds. And then because the Democrats spent too much money in all their stimulus, the bonds go down when interest rates go up. The Fed had to raise interest rates to combat the Democrat inflation. And then we see now coming out that they were one of the most woke banks in their quest for the ESG type policy and investing. This could be a trend, and there are consequences for bad Democrat policy. And I think we need to keep an eye on all the banking sector right now.
Well, we're waiting for a solution. We are expecting an announcement of an acquisition of the Silicon Valley Bank before the markets open tomorrow. We'll see. But let me move on to the work that you've been doing. It's been a couple of weeks since we've spoken, and you've been digging in on the business of the Biden family. What have you learned?
Well, we've had a very good 2 weeks, Maria. We are finally having people cooperate with us. I think we all know the Biden administration stonewalling. Janet Yellen is stonewalling, not turning over the bank violations. But fortunately, since we've last spoken, we actually have bank records in hand. We have individuals who are working with our committee. In the last 2 weeks, we've met with either these individuals personally or with their attorneys. And that would be 4 individuals who had ties in with the Biden family on their various schemes around the world. So now we have in hand documents that show just exactly how the Biden family was getting money from the Chinese Communist Party. And I will tell you, it's as bad as we thought, Maria. It's very concerning. And in a way, I'm kind of glad that the Biden attorney, Abby Lowell, and the Biden administration has been stonewalling us, because when I requested that information 2 weeks ago, versus today, because of what we have in hand now, we have a lot stronger case in court for why we need these documents that the Biden family is withholding and that the government's withholding. So they have unintentionally helped our case in our quest to get these documents to where we can give the American people the truth and the transparency that they deserve out of their leadership in Washington.
Congressman, this is so extraordinary. This is the #1 adversary of America, and you're telling us that the Biden family has accepted money. What does the CCP have on the Biden family? And is that the reason for the soft approach on China? We will slip in a short break, and then I want to get your take on what you are expecting. Well, welcome back, and I am back with the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, Congressman James Comer. Congressman, talk to us about Kathy Chung. She's coming in to get deposed by your committee. What are you expecting?
Well, we're going to have a transcribed interview with Ms. Chung. We have a lot of questions about her role in moving documents. We all know now that Joe Biden has mishandled classified documents in at least 5 different locations. We know from text messages and emails she got the job to help with the Biden family in moving documents at the recommendation of Hunter Biden. Given Hunter Biden what we see from bank records and from the emails and text messages with all the influence peddling he's done, we wonder why was Hunter Biden so concerned about Joe Biden's documents. So we have a lot of questions for Ms. Chung, and she's fortunately going to come in voluntarily, and we'll have an opportunity to hopefully get some answers.
Oh, the crimes of the Biden family. They still move about. The crimes of the Clinton family, they still move about. So many crimes committed, and they get to walk free. I don't think our justice system is fair, to say the least. So, yeah, clown world. Oh, this was posted 2 days ago. I don't know if it's just me, but this moment of the pandemic is the most isolated I've felt so far. Virtual events dwindled week on week. Masks are vanishing, and the pandemic is ignored by friends and the news every single day. A safe future has never felt further away. What do you do with people like that? They need safe spaces. Isolated. They need to go into isolation. The U.S. State Department prepares what they call bio notes on all rising Australian MPs. Our intelligence agencies really they work so hard developing bios on all of us, profiles, bio notes from everybody. Yeah, get those bio notes on Australian MPs and find out what their attitude is towards the United States, their ambitions, their ideology. For what purpose are they kept? Does CIA have a similar database on Australian politicians? Of course they do. According to 2009 WikiLeaks. Yeah. Well, the Germans are at it still. This was taken pretty much in the exact same position because I can tell by this white car. That's a lot of people. It's 8 minutes long. That's a lot of people. Wow. That's good energy right there. Oh, yeah, I wish I had captured the video of this tweet of the New World Order thugs doing a number on the French who were protesting. And it's gone. This page doesn't exist. Try searching for something else. Oh well. I guess Twitter is still protecting the elite and the New World Order thugs. 10 rules of propaganda. Don't we know them? We don't want war. We are only defending ourselves. The other guy is solely responsible for this war. Our adversary's leader is evil and looks evil. We are defending a noble purpose, not special interests. The enemy is purposefully causing atrocities. We only commit mistakes. The enemy is using unlawful weapons. We have very little losses. The enemy is losing big. Intellectuals and artists support our cause. Our cause is sacred. Those who doubt our propaganda are traitors. Can there still be adults that are on this planet that actually believe mainstream media and their government officials? Really? It's that to me is really surprising. Oh, global air pollution ranked by country. The Henrik Foundation? Okay. Explores how air pollution varies by economies. India is number 1. Pakistan, number 2. Bangladesh, number 3. China. Then Peru, Myanmar, South Korea, Thailand, Chile, Cambodia, Laos, Ecuador, Vietnam, Mexico, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, Singapore, Hong Kong, Philippines, Malaysia, Taiwan, having trouble reading that one. And that one. I think this one's Russia. UK. I can't read that. And then the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. Well, according to this foundation, it doesn't look like we're producing all that much pollution. But we have to pay for the pollution that all the other countries are emitting into our atmosphere. Does that sound fair? Nothing in life is fair. Get used to it. Democrats refused to address the contents of the Twitter files, attacked the messengers instead. I don't know if you were watching any of these congressional hearings on the Twitter files with Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger. All of whom have liberal leaning in their politics. Wow, were they attacked. Okay, you know that when government officials don't address the actual issue, but attack the messenger, you know the issue is most probably true. And they don't want to deal with it. They have to. Destroy the reputation, tarnish the reputation, bring the person down. And I've watched some of that, and I actually downloaded some of the videos, but I deleted them because I just wanted to go through, look at this communication. It is so profoundly sick. And I sure do wish that Democrats would begin to look at themselves, but that's not going to happen. I have not seen this video. What happened here? Okay. And
thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses for being here today and all of your important work that you have put into writing the Twitter files. Thank you for your willingness to come here and be subjected to the kind of abuse that we've observed when all
right, there's so many videos that you can just search on YouTube. Just put in congressional hearing Twitter files, and you will see the Democrats just attacking, the witnesses that showed up to testify on the Twitter files, instead of looking at the details of the Twitter files and how our government was in cahoots with social media to censor all of us. Which means that our government was violating our First Amendment right. And don't you think Americans should get upset about that? Where are they? Where are they? All right, blue state governor promises consequences if Walgreens refuses to distribute abortion drug. So is California. So is Newsom. How dare you interfere with a private corporation's commerce, business? But we see that happening all the time. Oh, it's so hard. It's really hard to watch what is taking place on a daily basis. No, okay. It's 8:16. I was hoping that more and more people would come into the chat, and they have. And I want to thank everybody for donating to the GoFundMe. Much, 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 much appreciated. It really is hard for me to talk about money, donations, but thank you very, very, very much. I also want to thank someone from Columbus, Ohio, that sent me a big donation that I got in my P.O. box today, but I don't know who it is. Anonymous, but they wrapped the cash up and folded it in paper that said, "God loves me." I want to thank them very, very, very much. I don't know who they are, but I do want to thank you. So, yeah. I may not say much, but you can trust that I do a lot of thinking about people, what they do, and I really do appreciate it. Now, Yeah, the flooding in Australia it just seems to be nonstop, and it's really it's so heartbreaking to see so many people getting destroyed. That chuckle was not a laugh. It's just I wish we had more of close-knit communities where those who aren't destroyed open up their doors for neighbors who have been destroyed, or even a little bit further away. You know, it's because many are going homeless. They might have some money to, you know, go into a hotel, but they still don't have a home to go back to. Think about all of the ripple effects. How many people lose their jobs because the businesses are flooded? How many people have lost their farms? Oh, the ripple effects of that. California is our produce, fruit, and nut producer for all of us. We will feel the effects of it all. So, no, we have seen. Shamble says, we haven't even begun to see the amount of lives getting destroyed yet. You have no idea how many lives are gone due to what was happening these recent years. How many have been destroyed by weather? We have millions upon millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of Americans who have been destroyed. So when you say that, are you talking about yourself and others in the chat? Perhaps. You know, people talk about shit hits the fan. Oh my God, shit has hit the fan. Over and over and over and over, in large ways, actually, to millions of your fellow Americans. The shit has been hitting the fan in the economy, finance, employment, education, weather used as a weapon, and that pandemic. When they talk about, oh, Americans just don't want to work anymore, what they're saying is they're dead. Or they're now disabled. Red Cross does not help. Red Cross does not help. No. Be Jesus now. Be Jesus. Don't follow. Don't focus. Be. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to see well enough to read, but I'm going to try. So, people of the lie. Again, I highly, highly, highly recommend you read this. People of the Lie, The Hope for Healing Human Evil, which this book is pretty much devoted to malignant narcissists. And I just want to read a little of what he says, just in the introduction, and then a little bit of into another paragraph. This is a dangerous book. That's what he writes. I have written it because I believe it is needed. I believe its overall effect will be healing. In labeling certain human beings as evil, I am making an obviously severely critical value judgment. My Lord said, Scott Peck became a Christian when he was 43 years old. He's now dead, but my Lord said, quote, "Judge not, that ye be not judged." By this statement, so often quoted out of context, Jesus did not mean we should never judge our neighbor. For he went on to say, "Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye." I have a little trouble reading that kind of English. What he meant was that we should judge others only with great care, and that such carefulness begins with self-judgment. We cannot begin to hope to heal human evil until we are able to look at it directly. It is not a pleasant sight. Many observed that my previous book, The Road Less Traveled, was a nice book. Yeah, it was. And in fact, let me just interject here. This book was pretty much done before The Road Less Traveled. But Scott Peck's publisher said, we are not publishing People of the Lie first. Why? Because he said, if we publish People of the Lie first, there'll be less who buy The Road Less Traveled, because it was like a softer, nicer book. This one's pretty, I don't find it all that dangerous or heavy-hitting, but a whole lot of people might. So, many observed that my previous book, The Road Less Traveled, was a nice book. This is not a nice book. It is about our dark side, and in large part about the very darkest members of our human community. Those I frankly judge to be evil. They are not nice people, but the judgment needs to be made. I ask you, for the present, to bear in mind that such judgments cannot be made safely unless we begin by judging and healing ourselves. The battle to heal human evil always begins at home, and we all have it within us. And self-purification will always be our greatest weapon against becoming evil ourselves. I referred earlier to Jesus as my Lord. After many years of vague identification with Buddhist and Islamic mysticism, I ultimately made a firm Christian commitment, signified by my non-denominational baptism on the 9th of March, 1980, at the age of 43, long after I had begun working on this book. In a manuscript he sent me, an author once apologized for his, this is someone that he knew. Okay, so a manuscript that he sent me, he apologized for his Christian bias. Scott Peck says, I make no such apology. I would hardly have committed myself to something I regarded as a bias. Nor do I desire to disguise my Christian outlook. In fact, I couldn't. My commitment to Christianity is the most important thing in my life, and is, I hope, pervasive and total. Yeah, I respect that. Great evil has been committed throughout the centuries and is still being committed by nominal Christians often in the name of Christ. Crusades and inquisitions have nothing to do with Christ. War, torture, and persecution have nothing to do with Christ. Arrogance and revenge have nothing to do with Christ. When he gave his one recorded sermon, the first words out of Jesus' mouth were, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, not the arrogant." Well, Jesus didn't say not the arrogant. Scott Peck is saying not the arrogant. I loved this. In a letter, I have cats on my mind. In a letter to her sister, Saint Teresa of Lisieux wrote, "If you are willing to serenely bear the trial of being displeasing to yourself, then you will be for Jesus a pleasant place of shelter." Wow. If you are willing to bear the trial of being displeasing to yourself, there you will be a pleasant place for Jesus. For me, it means looking at oneself and feeling what you have done. Feeling betrayals, the lies you've told, the harm that you've caused to others. Really feeling it. And yeah, you become displeased with yourself. And I think that's when Jesus kind of takes over the heart and mind. To define a true Christian is a risky business, but if I had to, my definition would be that a true Christian is anyone who is, quote, for Jesus a pleasant place of shelter, unquote. There are hundreds of thousands who go to Christian churches every Sunday who are not the least bit willing to be displeasing to themselves, serenely or otherwise, and who are not, therefore, for Jesus a pleasant place of shelter. Conversely, there are millions of Hindus, Buddhists, Muslims, Jews, atheists, and agnostics who are willing to bear that trial. There is nothing in this work that should offend the latter. Much may offend the former, the Christians. So, he trying to define evil, His son, his very, very young son, actually defined it for him. To proceed, we need at least a working definition. For the moment, I can do no better than to heed my son, who, with the characteristic vision of an 8-year-old, explained simply, "Daddy, evil is live, spelled backwards." Evil is live, spelled backwards. Evil is in opposition to life. It is that which opposes the life force. It has, in short, to do with killing. Specifically, it has to do with murder, namely unnecessary killing, killing that is not required for biological survival. When I say that evil has to do with killing, I do not mean to restrict myself to corporeal murder. Evil is also that which kills the spirit. There are various essential attributes of life, particularly human life, such as sentience, mobility, awareness, growth, autonomy, will. It is possible to kill or attempt to kill one of those attributes without actually destroying the body. Thus, we may break a horse or even a child without harming a hair on its head. Erich Fromm was actively sensitive to this fact when he broadened the definition of necrophilia to include the desire of certain people to control others, to make them controllable, to foster their dependency, to discourage their capacity to think for themselves, to diminish their unpredictability and originality, and keep them in line. I bet some of you know people like that. I bet some of you had parents like that. I bet some of you have those characteristics. Evil, then, for the moment, is that force residing either inside or outside of human beings that seeks to kill life or liveliness, and goodness is its opposite. Goodness is that which promotes life and liveliness and lifts up the spirit of people. Yeah. Very, very, very important to be a force of good. Be Jesus in the world. Be Jesus in the world. That's not to say that you're going to somehow, manifest Jesus perfectly. No. It means that you do everything in your power. If you are a Christian, that you get out in the world and you ask, what would Jesus do? A whole lot of times during the day. And the answer comes immediately. So, that is the only way to fight the evil. And it's the only way to manifest goodness. Thinking that you're good and doing nothing, sitting back and just letting the evil take over, that manifests the evil. You allow the evil to keep spreading, to keep entering into other people's lives and destroying them. And we've got a lot now, a whole lot. And it is imperative. It's imperative for us as individuals and our soul. Regardless, forget about results, okay? It's not about results. It's about you taking action and changing your way of being. We didn't get here without the help of people, ordinary Americans. And I'm tired of seeing people comment, I'm tired of you blaming it on Americans. It's government. What, this abstract government out there? Who's in government? The American people. Who's in the legal system? The American people. Who's in corporations? The American people. It has always kind of struck me as very odd that Americans separate themselves from government. How do you do that? Our government has become so unbelievably evil and corrupt because we haven't done anything to stop any of it. We never held anybody accountable. How can you separate yourself from that? We allowed communities to be destroyed. We allowed our families to be destroyed. And it's always kind of struck me as odd that, the mentality of, well, they destroyed families. All right, well, they were definitely in there, all of the social engineering. Why did you let it happen? How did you let it happen? Those are the questions that you should have been asking a whole long time ago. And then you grow up and you fix it. Unfortunately, a lot can't be fixed because we do have a whole lot of Americans that are children. They never grew up. The immaturity is pretty frightening, actually. And that's in every generation. I'm not talking about the younger generations. I'm talking every generation. Baby boomers never grew up. On the whole, okay? If you're a baby boomer and you're mature, then don't get all upset and take what I'm saying personally, because if you're taking it personally, that means I hit something in you. And if you have taken in a really big picture of Americans and how Americans have been operating for decades, then you understand what I'm saying. You know, it's well, we all drank the fluoride. We all have been dealing with the poisons and the toxins, and you've gotten past blaming others. Good for you. Good for you. Well, what I heard pretty much my entire life is how we are a Christian nation. That seems a little odd. Wow. I didn't know that. Okay. What's up, Carol? Ashley, hi. What's up? Hell, I can't even answer that. Professes to be a Christian nation. Yeah. Flo Baba. A cutie behind Carol. It's little one. Little one. And Babe has been in all day from pretty early last night. And he did, well, it was raining very, very, very hard. So I'm sure I'll wake up tomorrow and he'll be gone. Thank you, Julie. So, yeah, we don't have to be this alone, this depressed, this frustrated, this, if we could all manifest within our own communities some kind of connection. Traces of life. You came to the U.S. for freedom of religion, is that right? From where? Thank you, Linty. Thank you very much. Thank you. Marduk, 2023. Good to see you. Hey, Anthony Coretti. I am going to start winding down, and I cannot tell you how much I got from this book. I cannot recommend it more highly because you learn. There's a chapter on collective narcissism. What is collective narcissism? Collective narcissism? Americans on the whole. But it's, read it with an idea that you want to learn about yourself, because there's a whole lot in this book that you really do begin to say, wow, maybe that's me, or wow, that's me. And when you begin to notice things within yourself that are displeasing to yourself, you begin to make those changes. And he mentions here there are two types. Well, he's talking about Martin Buber, who was a great Jewish theologian, hello, who said there's two types of evil. One concerns people in the process of sliding into evil. The other concerns those who have already slid. I don't see that as two types. I see that as one. You stay on the path of evil, you will eventually become evil. The longer you stay on that road, like any road, the harder it is to turn around and go back. And that's why the road is narrow. There's an awful lot of work that the individual has to do on themselves to get on, even to just begin to get on that narrow road. And staying on it, it works just the same. You stay on the evil road, eventually evil got you. You stay on the good road, and eventually the good will get you. Because there's no turning back. You become it. But it does require a lot of work. And unfortunately, that's what an awful lot of Americans have missed in life. But it's really, that's what brings meaning to life. That's what enhances and brings you a good spirit, but it also allows you to have deep connection with one another. We're lacking there. And a whole lot of people are feeling the pain from not having any connection. So, you know, when people say the truth will set you free, it's not the truth about what is happening to all of us. It's your own truth. It's your truth, your personal truth. That's what sets the individual free. A whole lot of people are anxious and fearful and, you know, a whole lot, you know, and my circumstances certainly make me, it takes an awful lot of work to just keep going. And if anybody doesn't know the circumstances, I've spoken about it, and I'm sorry I don't. But isolation like I've never experienced before, that takes an awful lot of work. But I've seen people who, have no clue about their own shadow. So you trigger them. You don't, and it's inadvertent. You have no clue, that you do one thing and it triggers them. You don't know what their issues are, and they come back attacking you. I have experienced that over and over and over again. And I will tell you, I was that person before I took a look at myself. So it's really important. That's how you get a healthy community. That's how you get healthy families. That's how you get healthy friendships. And that's how you get a healthy society. Outside of that, forget about it. You ain't getting anywhere. So, again, I want to thank all of you for contributing to the GoFundMe. I want to thank the anonymous donor from Columbus, Ohio. But it's kind of cool that it was anonymous. Thank you very much. So to all of you, stay safe, increase your situational awareness, and increase the self-awareness so that you know who you are and you know what will trigger you. So once you begin to understand your issues, left unresolved, you get triggered, but once you begin to even understand them, even before they're resolved, if you're aware of them, kind of understand them, you're able to restrain yourself from acting out. Be a force of good. Look, Jesus, if you are not living honestly and speaking honestly, sorry, Jesus is far away from you. You cannot get to Jesus without living honestly and speaking honestly. Bada boom, bottom line. So, get out there, help people that are in need of help. Try your best to create some community. You're estranged from family, maybe reach out to them, do something. The more you do things differently, the easier it becomes. So, L78, nice to see you. I only merge after dark. Eli D, Sadie Nell, Wild at Heart, ATM, Random Telenews. You're supposed to be sleeping. John Stuart Mill. John Stuart Mill. Ugh. He writes, don't forget to send shekels. Wow. There's a lot of John Stuart Mills out there. It's unfortunate. Ashley, to get to Jesus is by faith alone, not by works. Sorry, completely disagree. Analog synth player. I will, Linty. Thank you. Marty and Sherry, thank you very, very much for your selfless service. Much appreciated there, for sure. Touch of class. Faith without works is dead. Yes. I don't know why. I do not know why people find that hard to grasp, but yes, my mods rock, for sure. Schnambles. They are the best. They're pretty cool. Marty, that was... Is it okay that I said... I'm not even going to say it. Forget it. Forget about it. It's not a big deal, but it's disclosing personal information. I don't want to do that. Night, Carol. Good night, Random. Taylor Noose. I hope you emailed me some information that I asked you to email me. Thanks, Al. Julie C. Yeah. Yeah, that's also another thing. It's amazing how people just write, they're walking the low road, they speak low, they hit out at people, and completely and utterly unnecessary. That kind of mentality I've never understood. Good night, Amber Eyes, ML. Good night, everybody. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Let's see what happens in the next couple of days with our fabulous banking system. But if you've got a lot of money in a regional bank, a small bank, I would pull it out. Because this might be the start of taking down all of the small banks. Yeah, it is pretty unnerving to be living in a dead zone. I have seen a couple of moths, and before I could even get a container to put them outside, that cute thing behind me, got him. But it's... I can't even remember the last time I saw a deer here. So, on that note, be safe, be a force of good. Raccoon once, yeah. And it was skinny. And it didn't come back. That was amazing. Because I've never experienced feeding a raccoon and then feeding it again the night after, and you wake up in the morning and none of the food was touched. Very unusual. Very unusual. So I will say that it contributes to my isolation. Animals have always gotten me through an awful lot. 8:58. Hope to see you tomorrow night. Ciao, guys.